All right, we are going to run through this. So this is an AEV 2015 Jeep Rubicon Wrangler, or Wrangler Rubicon. It does have lots of aftermarket accessories. I'll kind of touch bases that as we go around. Pretty much all the lights have been aftermarket or replaced with LEDs of some kind. It does have these fins with lights in them. Lights here, down there. The AEV carrier, aftermarket camera. Has some nice steps. I don't know if they're really slides because they're part of, like, attached to the body, not the frame. Has some armor with the top bar. Has the high lift jack with the pad in the back. And then bumper has a lot of stuff. The Warren, I couldn't find the controller. These four boop 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 on the bumper, the bull bar, I couldn't get to light up. And then we got one of these out, one of those two down there out, and then aftermarket lights there. These lights are out on the corners here. There's some pinstriping a little bit around the vehicle. You'll see here on these hinges, it's pretty common on Jeeps, from the rocks on the bigger lifted ones with the tires poking out, for those get chipped up. Paint's overall in pretty good shape. A couple dings, dents. This dent here I see on every single Jeep. I don't know why, but every single Wrangler has those dents. One on the hood there too. A couple scrapes here. Some pinstriping marks from like branches and stuff. Right here you can see there's damage, so the water tank is just open. Like, I can just touch my fingers into the water. I don't know if these are modular. Jeep's pretty good about that, so you might just be able to replace that one tank there. Still kind of sucks. Armor like this, I can't see, like when I look in the edges, I can't see if there's any signs of damage. I usually get wary of that because it's usually covering damage, but it just looks like they kind of did it aesthetically. Both sides here. Locking fuel door. I didn't get the key, so I couldn't open that and play with that. But overall pretty good. Has the updated KO2s. Oh, these are the KO3s, so these are a lot better on highway than like the super knobby ones that were in this period. Overall, exterior wise, pretty good. Some stuff on the suspension I talked about at a different point. Some bumps and bruises, but nothing really crazy. Just gonna touch base on a couple things. So this does have some like upgraded coils, aftermarket wiring all throughout. Now I just want to touch base before I start it. So some of these, like, these aren't even heat shrinked, kind of just lots of tape, no shielding or anything. I stress this on Jeeps, you gotta do something with that. That will literally eat your car alive. It'll just follow and start causing problems, okay? Brake fluid a little darker than I would like. Usually I say do it every 3 years, especially these things, to see a bit of moisture in their days. Throttle body does have like an extension on there, that little blue plate. And I did tell you, as a pedal commander, I don't know if the throttle body's aftermarket or not. It's got stickers on there. So they might have just done the whole thing with the cold air intake. It's like a whole kit. Has good response, drives really good, gets up to speed just fine. The bigger tires seem to you know, not affect it too much. The exhaust makes it seem like it's doing more than it is because it's pretty loud. I'm gonna do a quick startup, so just bear with the camera. I'll be right back. So starts right up. Has a little tiny rattle at first. The oil level's good, looks good. It's a little bit dark, nothing terrible. It has a sticker in there, but I'm not sure how far off we are. Let's see. We're at 98. Sticker says 57. So I don't know. That's a weird one. The oil does not look that dark for 40,000 miles. So I'm not really sure on that one. I usually say I don't drive more than 1,000 miles before I get an oil change on here. Any car I buy, any car. Down here, a little bit of wetness in that valley, nothing cooling or anything. It's pretty common for those to fail, so definitely something, if you're gonna own Jeeps, to be comfortable with. You just undo this upper and lower intake, so the upper comes off and then the lower part comes out, and you just pull this bad boy out. It will leak coolant and oil everywhere. When you see this happening, usually it'll run down the transmission bell housing and make it look like you have a fat tranny leak. So always look down in that valley anytime you see wet spots underneath. It's just common. There's a gasket there, that's your oil filter there. It's plastic, like hard plastic ABS stuff, and it's in the valley there. So it's just a common point on all 3.6s. Doesn't matter what model, van, 300, Charger, Challenger, doesn't matter. It's just a common weak point there. We're gonna do a quick go, so you just kind of keep an eye on the mirror here. I always start front to back. This gives me a good eye on everything. Lets me see if there's anything wet or shiny, anything hanging down, anything that's been dragging or beat up. All looks really good. This does have the electronics disconnect for the sway bar and links for flex. And then it does have the bigger suspensions because there's an AEV vehicle, so bigger coils and whatnot. Overall pretty good. There's a little bit of like seeping on the corners, see on the diff there on the cover. The shafts seem good. Nothing on the discs or in the housings here. On this spring, I'm actually just gonna get in because of how big it is. The bump stop's just kind of chilling in here, rattling around. Quite a bit of surface rust on some of these components, but nothing out of the normal. It's usually like the mild steel things that are gonna rust. Frame and everything looks really good. Nothing concerning me there. Oil pan and everything looks really dry. Trans pan looks really good. You'll see in the engine bay version of that, but the fluid looks really good. T-case and everything's nice and dry. Has all the plates. Stock exhaust until the axle back. We'll get there in a second. Has these runner steps, kind of built like sliders. They do bolt to the body here. And then here's where you can start to see the axle back. I'll get to the very back in a second. There we go. And we're looking from the back, so this muffler is not much of a muffler. It's a very small, straight through design. It doesn't drone very much, but when you're on it, it's pretty loud up hills because of the lift. Like the bigger tires, you're in like a lower gear, so it gets a little loud on hills. But like once it downshifts, or upshifts into like a cruising gear and the eco mode turns on, it gets pretty quiet. It's a Flowmaster exhaust, or at least the tips and the AEV covers. And then try to get in on these. So the pan bar here, it looks like it has the upgraded bracket on it already. So right here is what we're talking about. These are usually like, well, they'll rust out and break. You see how that's not being used? It's the upgraded bracket that's being used. It's good. You want to see stuff like that. It means they know what the weak points are and they did it. Another passenger. Looks really good. Same story. The fuel tank skid plate is not beat up or scraped very much, so that's really good. Means they kept it off in there. Let's see here. Really good. Tip this here. Frame's in good shape. Looks good. And then driver corner, see the bump stops there. Looks good. Alright, I always start here at the steering wheel. Source controls, volume controls are on the back side. It does work with the aftermarket head unit. Voice commands here I could not get to come on. Menu and all these buttons work for this screen here. And then cruise control all works as intended. This does have the sport shift here, so you can kind of shift up and down, hold gears, whatnot. Has the pedal commander, the switch here, it lights up. I don't know what it does though, so I don't play with it until I figure it out type thing. All these switches are also tied to things. There's some lights on the front. I'll be talking about a different part of the video that I just couldn't get to turn on. That being said, it looks like it has like a dash cam setup and a phone mount here. The rear view camera, so if you turn the music and then put it in reverse, it cuts the music. I love that. It's a safety thing. Looks good. The bars are a little high. You could probably mess with those or just get rid of them. And then this works as intended. I don't know what like all the settings are. Needs an update for the map. So just so you know, this is an AEV vehicle, so it's got a lot of extra stuff. 98,834 at the time of the drive. We're gonna pause here. I'm gonna look from the outside in. All right, so we are AEV Rubicon. So we got rear axle lock and sway bar disconnect. This doesn't have the front axle lock, or at least I couldn't get the front axle lock to kick on. It's just on and off for rear. Heated seats, traction control off, downhill descent, and then it has an outlet there. There is like a little bit of schmutz on the trim stuff, like adhesive or whatever, but overall not bad. On seats, there's just this little bit of blemish right here, all the way to the fabric. And then this carpet is wet. Not sure why. It's pretty wet though. And it was just on this side. And then I did check up here, so it's not the heater core or anything like that. That's dry. Manual seats. Back seats look like they were barely ever used. It has some extra stuff here. Power window switches there, they do work. AV symbols on the headliner, or the headrests. And then it has these pads all throughout. Really good addition. I love when guys do that. It just really quiets everything down. Makes it a lot better. Top has some noise when you're going down through the highways at highway speed. And then on the plastics, you'll see some scuffing here. Kind of all the way around. Pop sides. Back to this side, like I said, rear seats don't look like they were ever really used. Seat backs are in really good shape. Just some more little scuffs. It does have these little baskets. They kind of pop out. I bumped one of them, but they're just pressured into the little ledges here. Like that. All the switches here work. Glove box. I love these handles. These added handles are perfect. These ones, yeah, when you're riding, but these to get in and out and stuff are perfect. I love where those are placed. So we'll stop here and go through the rear cargo area. This is an AEV Jeep, so it has the extra tank here, the bigger carrier for the bigger tire and the bigger wheel, and then also has like this extra support bar built into the normal door. So you just open it and close it with the normal latches, all kind of integrated. Kind of stays out there, has some resistance. Make sure you go all the way. As you can see, the glass will rub this if you don't. Plastics have a couple scrapes on them, but nothing crazy. This does have the sub built in back here. You just do this bad boy like that. That's where you put all the bolts and stuff from when you take tops off and the doors. Sub there. Obviously no spare tire stuff in here. Well, like the tools under there, but no spare tire stuff in here because it's on the back of the vehicle. They do have this brace for the high mount jack that's on the hood. What that does, you put it on the ground so that the jack doesn't go into the ground. That makes a bigger surface area. It does have a fire extinguisher. I love to see that, especially when you're off-road. And it does have these little storage cubbies kind of all throughout the vehicle. So, really good. Has this extra rack here. And then I'll probably talk about it at a different part in the interior, but I just want to make sure. It has this foam top. It's so good for sound deadening and like just overall like comfort, because sometimes like if you bump your head, or the white that's normally up here can be terrible, but that's really good. Makes it so much quieter in here. And then this little light's kind of popping out a little bit. I tried to push it in there, but I don't want to mess with it too hard because it's plastics. We'll stop here. All looks good. This portion, we're just going to go through all the modules on the vehicle. I do an overall scan of everything. We did have some faults here. I made sure to document them all, so they're all listed out and written there in the documented form of the inspection. We do have like some low voltage and lost communication codes. We do have a open for the driver's seat, heated seat, but it was, like I said, a lot of stored codes. Codes for some of the LED lights that are on the vehicle. A few of them are out and whatnot. I made sure to note those, and I took a picture of those just because there were so many. The other thing on here, these are going to be all the lights. This one's just going to be the low voltage stuff here. This is the heated seat open, and then this is just more of the low voltage, and we'll just actually go in here real fast. There was one more, I forgot what that was saying. The circuit open on the ignition, it's worked just fine. I did notice there is a new key, so that could be part of that. They did just give me the one key. I don't know if there's another one. Overall, nothing really concerning here. So like I said, just lots of stored stuff, and I made sure to document all that. From here, I'm just going to go through some monitors and touch base on that. Okay, so now we're on to our monitors. We did have one that didn't go through, the evap. Everything else checked out. I did notice this does have a pedal commander, so a little bit of programming for throttle, and then it does say it's equipped with the super chips. There's a little cover I had to pop out of there. So evap is basically monitoring the vapors in your fuel tank. I know Mopar does have a few issues with those. Sometimes it can be this little plastic deal that clips on the side of the tank, and it's basically just like spring loaded for vacuum, and those go bad. There was like a recall on a lot of the Jeeps for like Grand Cherokees and stuff for those. So it could be that. Pretty common for these type of things on the Jeeps that are more off-roaded. Dust kind of builds up in those vapor areas, causes them to not function as smoothly, and since it's just vapor and vacuum, if it's not doing if it's giving too much resistance, it literally just won't do its job. So didn't have any harsh egg smells or any bogging or anything like that, so it's not like it's any kind of cat related. It's just most likely the fuel tank vapor system. Fuel door is locked. I don't have a key to get in that, so I couldn't check gas cap or anything like that either. All right, so overall condition on this thing is pretty good. 98,000 on there. Has a lot of cool lights and stuff on the front. Some of them are out. So like that one was working, now it's not. So I did talk about the electrical stuff. It could use some attention. Or maybe the high beams are on right now. Yeah. There we go. High beams are on, sorry, that's my bad. So just the one working. There we go. But they're pretty bright. Looks good. Looks tough. Lots of accessories on this thing. It has a good amount of the supporting mods done, like the extra brackets for the lift and stuff onto the axle. The panhandle bar on the back has the extra bracket. Exhaust is kind of loud. Kind of get in there, but it doesn't drone. When you're kind of cruising along, it gets pretty quiet. Lots of lights around this AEV vehicle, so it's got a lot of accessories from the factory, and then he just added to it. A few things you had concerns with. The radiator looks really good. I didn't see any kind of chalk or any kind of things on the seams of the end tanks or anything like that. Fluid is good, color is nice. Heater coil hoses look all good. Transmission fluid is probably the best I've seen in a long time on my inspections. Brake fluid a little dark. With the bigger tires, you got to give a little bit of extra input, so something I would probably kind of keep an eye on. And then the rear brakes, a little bit of contact here isn't perfect. Like it's not the full amount of the rotor, just like a small patch. So that's also something to keep in mind. This does have aftermarket intake with a throttle body, and I think like a spacer, but the actual throttle body might be aftermarket with pedal commander, and it has super chip all over it. So it does pretty good. I'm always impressed by these the 3.6 V6. We did notice a little bit of wetness in the V where the filter is. It's not pooling or anything like that. It could just be from bad cleanup after an oil change or residue. Definitely something to keep an eye on these vehicles. It's not too daunting once you've done it. almost like maintenance item. It does have aftermarket coils on it as well, so there's been some upgraded maintenance for being under 100,000. I always say the diffs on these, you're supposed to do about 24,000 or so. With the rear locker and stuff, you want to keep an eye on that rear diff, especially for moisture and everything. The spider gears inside will kind of chip away. I've seen it before. It's kind of crazy looking. Like, it literally just looks like bites being taken out of the gear. It's so wild. But overall, not bad. Good mileage. Interior's good. Paint's really good condition. Has some pinstriping, but nothing that can't be taken care of. Top's in pretty good shape. A little bit of whistling while you're driving on the highway speeds. Steering wheel is a little bit to the right, but track straight. Nice little vehicle.